Welcome back, players and collectors, to my channel, Ren's Collectibles. Today I went to my local card shop, Our House Games, and played in a Pokemon League challenge there. And I want to take you guys on that journey as I've done before. And we played well today. We played well. But the real star of the show is Darumaka. I don't know if you guys can even see him, but he's over there. Darumaka was the star of the show. He brought me some good luck when I needed it. But we're going to get right on into it and head to Our House Games. Hey guys, just interrupting here real quick because I forgot to do it for the video. If you guys did not know, I do have a Teespring store now available, so there is Ren Collectible merchandise available. Make sure you check the link down below, but I've got some shirts, hoodies, hats, vinyl stickers even. Like, we got some stuff down there, so if you want to rep some Ren's Collectible stuff, make sure you check the link down below. And 10% off right now for early buyers, so good luck. Show me what you get, and thank you very much. All right, here we are, everybody. Our House Games, ready to rock and roll some Pokemon League tonight. Got the Charizard deck and the Miraidon deck. Not sure which one I'm going to play yet. Probably Charizard. You guys know me. But let's go in and see what we can do. So we got there. I was the first person there. I usually get there a little bit early just because, you know, I never know. Well, with us right now up here in Michigan, we've got tons of snow and ice and everything, so I kind of give myself time for traffic or potential, you know, accidents, stuff on the road. But I also like to get there just to, I just like being one of the first ones there, I guess. I don't know. I like to get there and set up and kind of like go through my deck, make sure everything's good, make sure I got my list. Just kind of like all the prep work. I just like to double check and make sure everything is a-okay, squared off, and kind of go from there. So I'm usually the first one there, and I was again today. So we set up, we kind of walked around. I took Darmanitan around a little bit, or not Darmanitan, Darumaka, and you know, we went, and I bought actually a build and battle kit for Silver Tempest because it was just random. They only had Scarlet and Violet stuff except for this, so I bought this thinking I was going to open these between the rounds, but it actually ended up not happening that way, obviously, so we'll save that for another video. But as people started to filter in, we realized we were going to have to start late. Start time is usually 5:30, and it was about 5:35, 5:40, and we knew that there was one or two other people wanting to join the tournament, so we kind of waited a little bit. Also had some issues with the Pokemon League, the software to upload it, so from what my understanding anyway, that's what was going on. So we started late, and then in the end we decided that we were going to do best of 3 series for each round, but to kind of compensate for the time lost already, we were going to just do 40-minute rounds. So you got 40 minutes to try to sneak 3 games in, which you can definitely do, but it's not always the easiest thing in the world. So we just got started. We went right into it. You know, I fist bump Darumaka, showed my opponent. Every opponent got, you know, a big kick out of having Darumaka there. He's honestly a star of the show, if I'm going to be honest. But we were getting the tournament underway, and of course I had to play my Charizard EX deck. I'd even tried teching out some other cards, or teching in, I should say, some other cards for specific matchups that I thought I might encounter. However, over the last week, kind of play testing on PTCG Live, I decided I'm going to take all those cards back out and go back to my original deck. So I did play the same Charizard EX Pidgeot deck from last time. And I'll likely continue working on upgrading it and kind of teching in some better cards. But just the things that I had thrown in there just didn't feel 100% comfortable with, and it didn't feel right. So I kind of went back to the original deck. But we get settled in. We got started first round. Man, that was an intense round. First game, I'm starting off playing a Miraidon Iron Hands opponent who's very good at the game, by the way. And they started off kind of hot. I started off kind of hot. It was kind of who was going to get to do their thing first. And I think they started off like first or second turn electric generator, and they got some energy onto Iron Hands. And I thought, oh, this is the route they're going to go first. So my very first, I think I went second. So my very first top draw, I pulled the boss's order, and I already had everything I needed for a Pidgeot and a Charizard in hand. So that almost never happens, but I did have a Pidgeot and a Charizard with one rare candy in hand. And if you guys know Pidgeot, that's all you need because you can quick search for the other one. So I was set up. I already had two Charmander, or I had one Charmander and one Pidgeot, and something else. But I was pretty much ready to go. So round one, we did battle back and forth a little bit, but in the end, I took the dub. I was able to boss up his Iron Hands after he got, I think, like 3 energy on it. Knocked it out pretty quick. Then I know they had the Miraidon they were trying to use but couldn't use, and then tried using Mew EX to use Miraidon's attacks, and it's just, they couldn't get it going. I ended up drawing a couple more boss's orders, and that really made quick work of game one. So about 10 minutes in, I won game one. Game two was very intense. My opponent started off so hot. I bricked. I think I mulliganed 3 times. And that has never, ever, ever happened to me with Charizard EX. Never. I played a lot of games with Charizard EX, and that has never happened. So we were off to a rough start. I only got 1 Charmander, and I think on my top draw from actually starting the second game, I got an Arven. I was able to play Arven, get my Battle VIP pass, and at least get 2 more Pokemon to the bench. I think I picked a Pidgey in the Rotom V, and then I was able to insta-charge, and that is what really saved me. I'm not even going to lie, that saved me. That game was not going good until I got that. It still was a battle. I was missing a lot of pieces. I got my Pidgeot EX relatively quickly, but he had already, learned about how Pidgeot operates and bossed it up and knocked it out pretty quickly. Running the electric Miraidon deck, they've got the upper hand, so it took 2 times damage, which was not fun. But yeah, they knocked out my Pidgeot EX. I had nothing. I had no draw mechanic there, so I'm trying my hardest, trying to play all my cards perfectly to get my Charizards out, and I did. And man, it was such a relieving moment when I got my second Charizard on board, fully energied up, and all I needed was 4 prize cards, and I thought there's no way they're gonna be able to come back and win this. They knocked out one of my Charizards. I knocked out one of, I think it was their Miraidon, then they knocked out my Charizard, and so I'm pulling my Charizard up to the active, and they had, I think it was Zeraora V-Star. It was V-Star or V-Max, whichever one has the 320 health. And I knew I couldn't KO it in one shot. I was up to 300 damage with Charizard, and I needed more. I needed 20 more, and the only thing I had left in my hand was a Vitality Band, which only gives me 10 extra damage. So I had to think about what I was going to do, and honestly, I thought they might come back and steal it because I knew he was looking for a boss's orders, and I knew he was going to try to pull up my Rotom V. He couldn't find it in the end. I think it ended up being prized or something. And I was able to pull my own boss's order and then boss up one of the other Miraidon on his bench and take the final KO. So ended up winning round 1, 2-0, which was great. But man, they definitely made me work for it. They made me earn that big time. Heading into round 2, I was feeling pretty good, man. We just got a dynamic win, a really energizing win. I was feeling really good. Show up, and my opponent is playing a deck I had not seen yet. Ironically, I don't know how this deck has not been played more because it was such a well-oiled machine, but it was a Magnezone deck. And I just saw on his opening turn, he had some Magnemites and I think a Scyther. And I'm like, what in the world is this deck? I found out pretty quickly it's pretty powerful. But my keys to victory that I knew once we got into the game and I knew I needed to do. Round 1 was very back and forth, by the way. Nobody was a clear winner at all at any point of the game. It was very back and forth. He would take a prize, or he would take a knockout. I would take a knockout. He would take a knockout. I would take a knockout. And obviously Charizard powers up as you go, so he had to really be careful of that. But the Magnezone powers up based on the amount of energy attached to my Pokemon, the opponent. So I made sure that I only had one Pokemon pretty much powered up at any given point, which was a huge risk. It was very risky because all I had to do was knock out one Charizard, while I had another Charizard in hand or on the bench. It didn't have both energies attached to it. So I did that purposefully to try to get around the Magnezone attack, which was his main strategy here. And I think once he kind of knew that's what I was doing, you could tell he was getting a little frustrated because I was countering his plan very effectively. But after a wild first game, he made one error. The entire game, he only made one mistake, and it ended up costing him the game. I think it was the second attack from Magnezone does 220 damage, but it also does 30 damage to yourself. And he didn't realize at that point, because he had taken 4 prizes, that I was hitting for 300. So he had exactly 300 health left. He hit me, and I just kind of looked at him like, you did that? You're done? Like, we're done? He's like, yep. I draw. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the knockout for the win. And I could, his face, you just see him like trying to calculate, and then he realized the error that he made, and oh man, I felt bad for him, honestly. Fantastic kid, fantastic player. He just made one little mistake and it ended up costing him. And Charizard decks, they do that though. They punish you. They really do, and I love it. I don't want to say I'm a perfect Charizard player. I'm certainly not, but I'm good enough with Charizard that if you make one or two little mistakes like that, I'm probably going to capitalize on it in a big way. And I did. So ended up taking the dub in game 1, and then we went into game 2. We had plenty of time left. I think there was like 20 minutes left. And the game was actually, we were getting ready to go, and he's looking through his deck before we started. He's like, man, I'm missing a card from my deck. I'm like, oh, that's not good. Like, do you need to count or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I think I only have 59 cards in my deck, which is technically, it's a disqualification either way, I think. But I was trying to tell the judge, like, hey, it's cool if he can find his card. If he's got one card missing, if he wants to go find it, put it in. Like, I'd rather play a really good player with their deck at full potential than not. Maybe at like a regional or something, I'll take the dub like that. Those don't come easy. But for locals, like, I want to make sure if I'm going to be the best, I got to beat the best, So he called the judge over, and he wanted the judge to count his deck to make sure that he could switch out, get his one card, not switch out. He wanted to grab his card. Ended up being that he had 61 cards in his deck. He had mistakenly placed 2 extra cards that were part of a sideboard type of pile there. He put them into the deck. So he got DQ'd for that round. We talked to everybody in there, and they all kind of agreed that he should be allowed to just take one card out without adding anything to it to make his deck legal. And we did that way, but the judge and the tournament did rule that he was disqualified from that round. So I did get the round 2 victory, kind of unconventionally, although I did beat him in the first game, so I was 1-0 technically going into that. So we did win round 2, which I was kind of looking forward to playing another game with him on that aspect because the deck was so good. Honestly, it was a pretty good counter to Charizard. The only thing you have to do as a Charizard deck is just play a little risky, but it was fine. And then we moved on to round 3, and since there was only 6 players that ended up showing up, we had more that were supposed to come. I think weather kind of kept them out of it, so we only did 3 rounds. There's actually more people there, but they chose not to play too. So I don't. Well, maybe next week we'll get our 10, 12 people in. But round 3, going up 2-0 against the other opponent who was 2-0 in the whole thing. So it was the championship round, and they're playing Goldango. And if you guys know anything, you know how much I hate Goldango. I hate it. I don't hate it as much as Roaring Moon and the Serena decks, but I do hate Goldango. Man, is it a good deck, though, and man, was it piloted pretty well. The kid I played was a really good player and definitely knew what he was doing with that deck, which made it even more difficult for me. And game one, kind of back and forth. We both got quick starts. Well, we both mulliganed 3 times. I don't know how that kept happening to me in this tournament, but it did. But we both mulliganed 3 times, and we finally got Pokemon to put on the bench. I think I had 1 or 2 Charmander and a Pidgey, and then I ended up actually drawing into a Battle VIP pass for turn 1. So I got set up pretty quick. Kind of the same thing for him. I think I slapped Artisan down too to get that last one. And then he was able to Nest Ball twice and Artisan for a couple extra Pokemon. So he had a couple Gimme Ghoul on bench. He had Bidoof, and I think he had Greninja. So kind of started off hot for both of us. He went first. He got set up so quick. He Ultra Balled for the Goldango. At least 1. I think he had 2 in hand, though. If I remember correctly. I think he had 2 in hand. Or he top decked it on the second turn, but he got those. Let's see. He got so much energy in his starting hand, too. Yeah, I think he had like 3 or 4 energy in his starting hand. Basically passed to me once he got all set up. I drew my cards. I got my bench set up how I did. And got some energy attached, and I kind of knew he was gonna go for that quick knockout on my first Charmander that I think was up in the active, so I started beefing up another one. I had a rare candy in hand, and I had the Pidgeot, so I knew I was good next turn on that, barring an Iono. But those decks typically don't like to Iono because they get a massive hand going, and it kind of proved true. He didn't really Iono ever in either game, but passed over to him. He got his Goldango. He got 2 Goldango, actually. He's doing all the draw mechanics. I mean, this man has like 20 cards in hand after the second turn. Attached energy, his 1 energy, that's all you need. And took the knockout on my Charmander. Took the first KO. I pull up, I think it was my Rotom V I think I had. And I pulled up Rotom V. And I'm drawing. I evolve my Pidgey and a Pidgeot. I had another Charizard in hand, so I quick search for a rare candy, got Charizard, beefed up my Pidgeot, and then I think I started putting energy down for a second Charmander, passed the turn, or instant charge to draw more cards, drew exactly what I needed, another rare candy, another Charizard, so that worked out really well. He took the next knockout on my Rotom, so he's down 3 prize cards already. But again, fatal mistake when you're playing a Charizard, because I come roaring back, slap Defiance Band on it, boom, big KO on his Goldango. He pulls up another one. He didn't have enough energy to knock it out, so boom, knocked that one out. He had a third Gimme Ghoul on the bench. He eventually evolved after that. Then he got enough energy to knock out my Charizard, which he finally did. So he's down to 1 prize, and I'm down to 2. But I already have my next Charizard already beefed up, ready to go. Took the dub there. Moving on to game 2. It was really back and forth. It was a good game. Second game was kind of the same thing. We both started off hot and strong. He's got, 2 Goldango on bench by second turn. I've got a Pidgeot and a Charizard on my bench by second turn, and we're slapping each other. He's taking a knockout, I'm taking a knockout. He's taking a knockout, I'm taking a knockout. Well, it got down to I had my second Charizard, my first Charizard in the active. He'd already taken 2 prize counters. I think they were both like a Pidgey and a Charmander or something like that, like low level stuff, basic Pokemon, single prizers, I should say. And he is searching. He's playing every card he has. He's drawing every mechanic he has, trying to get energy. And by the end of it, he only had 6 energy, which only gets him up to 300 damage. And my Charizard obviously is 330. And he's sitting there looking at me, looking down at his cards, looking at me, looking at his cards. He's like, I don't think I can win this. I'm like, oh, we could always just play it out, see what happens. There's no shame in just playing it out and doing it that way. If you want to concede, you can concede. I'm going to take it, but if you want to play it out, we can play it out. And Yeah, he tried. He tried. He did everything he could. He could not get that last energy. He fell a little bit short. My turn. I ended up just taking the knockout for the game, and there was nothing much else he could do. But I mean, even if he had taken out my Charizard, I had another Charizard beefed up on the bench. You know, 2 energy attached. I had a Pidgeot, 2 energy on the Pidgeot. I was ready to go. I don't think there was really any way he was going to beat me. But we take the dub, 2-0 against that. We went 3-0 in the tournament as a whole to take first place. And the more impressive milestone is I did not lose a single game in that whole tournament. That's what I'm proud of. That's what I'm happy about. Did not lose a single game in the whole tournament. It was late though. The shop had already closed, you know, they were just, you know, waiting for us to finish up. So, there was another Charizard player there, and we were trying to set up for a Charizard mirror match just for fun at the end. I believe he got third place. So, you know, pretty good deck. We're definitely going to play next week when I go to the card shop. Maybe we'll do a little video of the mirror match there. But, yeah, I ended up going undefeated the whole way, taking the dub. Ended up getting my prize pack, which we're going to open here in a second, and got 4, what was it, Paradox Rift cards, or packs, so as my prizing. So, we opened them up in the shop. Everybody was dying to find out. I only pulled 1 Minun illustration rare, though, so it's still a really cool card, and I'm happy about it. It was free pack, so I'm not going to complain. But, you know, to kind of end it, since we had such a good run, we're going to open up the Play Pokemon prize pack here. We're just gonna see what we get. I cannot see my screen actually, so we're gonna kind of do it this way. We got Grant. I like these Dark Patch. You guys know, if you don't know yet, I am working on building a Roaring Moon deck, so that'll come in handy. I know. Calm down. You can't beat them, join them. There we go. Nice Fire Energy. That's going to go in the deck. Ooh, we got Mimikyu EX. Very nice, very nice. And you know what? There is a little code card for one of you guys. You guys deserve it. You guys are awesome supporters of the channel, and I love it, and I can't thank you guys enough. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, remember to hit the like button, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I'm doing more gameplay. I'm doing more tournament play. I'm going to be trying to go to more tournaments. So if that's your kind of thing, stay tuned. But we'll be doing some openings and stuff too. Like I said, I got this to open. We'll probably pair it with some other card products here, and we'll do a little opening here soon. But thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see you guys in the next video.